and everything, but I still can be involved in the game that I love. So the fact that I can do it as part of my job, which is what I can do now, because it is one of my focus areas of my role, is just even better, because it means I can help and support as many people as I can to get to play like I do when all this is over. So that's a little bit about me. I could obviously talk forever, because as Carol knows I do. So I'm going to shut up now and let her introduce Mux.
Right, so we're going to introduce you now to Sharon Marksberry, who we will call Mux for tonight, as well as we'll call Rachel Pav. So Sharon, did you want to introduce yourself? Sharon is I'm just going to say first, actually, Sharon is the Regional Coach Development Officer for the FA, and is doing some wonderful stuff with coaching and mentoring, especially the women's rec football at the moment. So I'm going to hand over to Sharon quickly, and we'll talk to her a bit later, and she'll just introduce herself first.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Sharon. I'm also known as Mux. So they are the same people. They're not two different people, as some people get confused about that. Yeah, and I'm literally here to support and help all women, all girls who want to get into coaching and give them that support they need, whether it's for walking football, first team football, coaching young people, coaching, whatever, any aspect of coaching. I'm hoping my expertise of 25 years as a teacher, which I've left now for about 5 years, will help me deal with all the issues and trials and errors we're faced with, because I know the older you get, the naughtier you get. So it's really important we have some good strategies as coaches to keep us all engaged and on task, but also having a great time. So pretty much like working with 5-year-olds, if I'm being honest. But yeah, so that's me there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Well, we called you Mux and Pav for tonight, instead of Sharon and Rachel. So again, thank you for coming. And I say we're just looking at this time, especially in the run up to Euro 2022, to see what we can do to share good practice, increase participation. And there's one thing that I saw on Twitter today which really struck me. It was very simple, but it really struck me. And it was someone had been to a talk with Judy Murray, and she'd quoted Billie Jean King. And Billie Jean King had just said this little quote, and it says, if I just find it, she said, "If you don't make a noise, no one will hear you." And I just thought about that, and I thought that's so simple but so true. And it's, if we look at that and say, if you don't make a noise, if we don't talk to anyone about women's rec football and tell them how brilliant it is and all the rest of it, no one's going to hear us. So let's, from now on until Euro 2022 and afters, let's just make a big noise about women's rec football and talk about it everywhere. Talk to the friends, talk to your family, talk to different parts of the country, and just let's keep talking about it and making a noise about it. So that, I really sort of like that quote. It's very simple, but it's very effective, I think. So what we'll do is we'll get on to part one, which is the different types of women's rec football that are available at the moment. So I put in there running, walking and Soccercise, but running includes futsal as well. So running is 5v5, 6v6, 7v7, 9v9, 11v11, which whatever you want to play, small-sided games or larger games. And I think it's quite difficult to actually get the right fit of, I don't know about everyone on the call today, but certainly with the cogs we have so many different abilities, so many different ages, and how do you actually manage that within your sessions? Do you have sessions where you put the older women in a different group, or do you have them all together? Do you have older women playing against younger women, or do you have sort of ability groups? Sort of how do people work that? So that's sort of something to think about. Certainly with the cogs, where when we started we had a lot of older women, so we all sort of played together and we're at the same sort of level. So it's a case of really thinking, as we get bigger, how are we going to manage that? How are you going to manage the younger players coming in? Because there are lots of younger players that don't want to be committed to league football every week. And although we say women's rec football actually comes from 16 plus up to 99 or whatever, you can still play football. So there's such a wide range of abilities and ages. So I mean, I don't know how you sort of manage your own teams, but that's certainly something to think about in the future. And futsal obviously is part of the running women's rec football as well. And there's been some, I know the Canterbury Old Bags, which Joe's not here tonight, but one of the women there, Catherine Bradley, has been fantastic. And she's actually set up a futsal league for women's rec football. And I think, I don't know if Sam's in here actually as well, but there are a couple of teams that play in that league for fun. So that's just like another genre of women's rec football that we can think about. And it's, you know, it's offering something completely different. It's inside. I know we play an annual sort of tournament. We go to Dorking and we play an annual tournament just before Christmas of futsal. And everybody says it's just great fun. It's something different. It's great fun. You learn more skills. So again, that's another thing to think about. If, you know, if you can't get outside, or if you can't get facilities, futsal is another thing, women's rec football, that you can think about. And then we're sort of going on to walking football. I mean, when it comes to running, does anybody have any questions or anything to say with regards to what you do with age and ability and how you run your sessions? Does anyone want to raise any questions, or just before we go over to the next bit? Emma's keeping her hands out. Fee, I take you off mute. There you go. I think this is going to work like this. Fee from Formby.
Oh, sorry, that's me.
Yeah, yes.
I'm getting on a bit, so the technology is defeating me. Okay, I was just going to say, we only started about 2 years ago, and it's just grown so hugely since then. And about a year ago, there was quite a big pressure for us to split into different groups, and it didn't necessarily come from among the women who were playing. It was more about the club kind of being a bit threatened by the sort of very, very inclusive style that we had, and the fact that it was growing so much. And we've managed to come to a kind of compromise where we have separate teams, but we try and all train at the same time in the same area, so that if people want to they want to all go out to the pub afterwards. What we didn't want to do was to split up sort of friendship groups and stuff. One of the great things about it has been people from all different backgrounds, all different ages, all different abilities, all, you know, getting involved together. So I think that's worked quite well for us to split up in terms of the competitive games that we play, the friendlies and the league games. Because we're really lucky. We do have 2 recreational leagues that we can join locally. So we have separate teams in those, but we all try and train at least at the same time nearby, so that we're still feeling like one big friendly family.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, to just try and keep everyone together. I'm just wondering if anybody does have any like 16 or 17-year-olds that want to play, and how do you sort of integrate them into, maybe where you've got women that are 50 that can't quite run around as much. And it's, you know, it's definitely something to think about sort of on the in the next sort of few years. I mean, I know we have 5 different sessions, so we're quite lucky in that we can put, everyone goes to the session that they want to go to. So if they're beginners, regardless of age, they're all beginners, so that works out quite well. But imagine if you've just got one group with quite a big age range, it's one of those things that you sort of have to think about, isn't it? But then everyone wants to be together, so it's
Carol, Joe's just come in. Just a second.
Yeah, thank you.
Carol, just because we have that problem a lot with Clapton, and so
as well. Sorry.
When we do the exercises at the beginning, we ask people to kind of choose someone as a partner that they think they're sort of equal in ability and fitness.
Yeah.
Use those partnerships to make equal teams for the games. So
that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, and then you sort of, so you're running it, so you sort of know which abilities.
Yeah, and then you end up with kind of even teams for the games at the end, or if you're going into a tournament or something.
Yeah, that's something we've always looked at, is trying to keep, if there are any teams going into festivals and things like that, then we try and sort of keep it even. If you have people that have played before or beginners, we sort of try and mix our teams up and keep them all even. But that's a good shout. So when they come into training, is matching people up with the same sort of ability regardless of what their age is. So thanks for that, Ellie. Between now, there are sessions that run at the moment with just play sessions. So Pav, I don't know if you want to just say a little bit on the county FA and just play sessions, that maybe that they'll be sort of more available for people to use. Or
yeah, I mean, for those of you who've been around the rec scene for a little while, you'll know about Just Play, which is the social game, the kickabout game for adults. And at the beginning, really, when it first started, when Mars took it on, it was very male dominated. All the marketing was very male, and it was quite frustrating for the female game to really use it. So we tried to get a lot more imagery, and we tried to change it a little bit, and then Stickers came on board instead of Mars, who are very keen on developing the women's game. So a lot more county FAs were looking for female only Just Play centres. And quite a few of the people on the call that I can see did actually decide to be a Just Play centre because they did actually get some equipment and kits and a little bit of setup funding as well to be part of that. We've actually now done a restructure at the FA, which probably a lot of you saw in the news in the autumn time. And actually it's really benefited women's football because we've actually now got a programme lead who looks after Wildcats, the 5 to 11 recreational game, and the Just Play processes and procedures. So she absolutely understands the needs and wants of women who want to play recreational football as she does the girls who want to play rec. So when we get back to a little bit more normality, I can see that the county FAs will use Just Play for women a lot more, and that will give us the chance to go out there and try and get more startup sessions where that love of just having a bit of fun and just playing, you know, whenever they want to, that will work really well for us. I think what's really interesting if you look at someone like Cogs is that they have got all their different sessions already with all their different offers. So they're doing Soccercise, they're doing walking, they're doing 5. They're already doing all of those different sessions. What we want with Just Play is lots of them all around the country offering those different sessions where we haven't got a Cogs and we haven't got a Canterbury Old Bags. You know, we haven't got those sessions. These are to really start the rec game going. And then we hope that with loads of women going to them, they'll start then wanting to set up clubs themselves or join men's clubs that want to have them as a women's section. So yeah, Just Play for me will definitely be, we're doing a lot more on it when we're back from COVID, because we want to see more and more of those centres be female only.
Thanks, Pav. So I think that just from knowing Kath, from the Guiseley Gazelles, they've just started up and had lots of people joining them. Guiseley is sort of up north somewhere in Yorkshire, I think, from my non-league Crawley Town football days. But Kath, that's a prime example for you starting up, is that you could link in with your local county FA and actually look at a Just Play centre. So you've actually got a focus on you know, and then you've got facilities and etc. there, so that'll be a good thing for you to get into.
They've we just set up and we were kind of like bowled over by the response, as seems to be the kind of common theme with women's rec football, and they've approached us to be affiliated, which was, we're going down that process just now with them. Seems to be slow trying to get everybody's details at the moment to get signed up with the FA, but
yeah, it takes a little bit of a time, but yeah, there's some great stuff going on. So that's really sorry, Carol, we're probably just at the very early stages where we are trying to now branch out, because we've got, you know, our youngest is probably 29 and our oldest is 55. So, but we do feel that, you know, we want to go lower in terms of age, so and open it up to younger and obviously older. And we do think we will have to offer, and want to offer, not have to, but want to offer the walking football, and you know, and then to the younger group. So this is really useful. This is great. It seems to be all the oldest start it off and then all the youngest come, which is a nice nice kind of legacy, really. And I just need to interrupt you there, because I'm going to go on to walking football in a minute, but I just want to jump onto Soccercise first, because we've got Casey with us, who has been doing a lot of Soccercise, and I just want to share that she's got to disappear very quickly, but I just wanted to to just talk a little bit about the Soccercise, and I'm just going to share this. Oh, can you put me back as host, Emma, please?
Yeah, apologies, I've got a board meeting at 8 o'clock. I've got to get off of Zoom and onto Teams, so.
Right, so I'm just going to very quickly show you this video. This is part of the video, women's rec video we did, and this is what Casey set up with AFC. Gives you an idea of the other option for women's rec football. It looks great fun. You can do it in a hall. You can use the warm-up exercises. And she's just so use it when you go on holiday with your mates without football after you've been. So it's just really showing you. There you go. So just really showing you an option of what Soccercise is. But I'm just going to quickly ask Casey to say something before she goes, because that was her brilliant session. Off you go, Casey.
So, introduce Soccercise. I've taught Soccercise at sessions at school, and when I first started up the rec football, I realised there was a wide range of ages, with some in their 50s and 60s who kind of said, I'm not sure how much football I'll be able to play. So even right from the start, I kind of wanted to make it as inclusive as possible, and for some of those people it was just more about the fitness than actually the football to begin with. They've came round to the football more and more now, but doing the Soccercise session, sort of a 10-minute bit of every session, just seems to have hooked more and more people in. And like I say, it's now our sort of party piece. That was us in Marbella last year that we had. In fact, we went playing men's sort of walking and rec football, and we had them all doing it at the side of the pitch as well. So it's just a bit different, I think, really. There is a lot of Soccercise. There's a FA Soccercise PDF pack that's got loads of different exercises that you can do. We've kind of adopted that and then added in more of our own. We have our own Soccercise playlist that we share sort of with players, and we've been doing it through Zoom, loads through lockdown as well. So it's just a small element of what we do, but I do feel that it does hook us, you know, a certain number extra in that possibly wouldn't try it in the first place.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, I think it's great. I mean, I love the bit when you go to Marbella and you all start doing Soccercise without footballs and with beer.
At 1 in the morning, yeah. There's one in there that she's football like die, will never do it, but she was right in the middle of that video. So she's obviously watched it every week.
But I think what we could do as a group is we could set up like a Spotify playlist and just put that on Spotify as a women's rec football Soccercise playlist. So if you did actually want to do some Soccercise and weren't sure what music to use and all the rest of it, we could maybe sort of have we'll have a thread on the group or whatever, and we can input, you know, your music choices, and then we could have like a Soccercise playlist, women's rec Soccercise playlist, and then that's one part of Soccercise that you've actually already got. So then you've just got to work out your warm-ups and
Carol, I'm happy to share. I do need to go. I'm really sorry, everyone. Please do feedback to me as well. But I'm happy to share the playlist we use. All our players have said, it's really high energy. It's really
yeah. Well, if you can put one on Spotify and just call it a women's rec playlist or something,
and then
that
people can add others. Yeah. Also, if anyone does want any advice about any of the sort of drills that we do or anything, then just get in touch with me through Carol. But sorry, everyone, and thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Casey. Good luck with the board meeting.
Thank you.
Right, so that's Soccercise, which is brilliant. And Roxanne's put a chat in here as well, saying how great Soccercise is, and it really engages people. And then Rox has used it during lockdown because you can do it on Zoom and get people involved with it as well. So that's a very small part of women's rec football that not a lot of people know about, but there are so many resources on the FA's website to look at that you can download. You can look at the videos and stuff, so it's definitely worth having a look at that part. So thanks, Casey. Thanks, Pav. She's put the information in in the chat. What we'll do at the end is we'll put all the links and everything in an email, so you've got, you know, your access to them. So the next part we're talking about is walking football. So there's obviously been lots of stuff going on at the moment, with sort of internationals in quotes, I would put it, which sort of groups that have just gone off and done their thing. The FA is all about participation and increasing women's opportunities to play walking football, and participation is what it's all about. So we've started walking football sessions for women aged 40 plus. It's a good way to another good way to get them involved in women's rec football, because some people, you can say, oh, come and play football, but it might sort of frighten a few women, that they think, oh God, I can't run around a pitch, I'm not fit enough, and all the rest of it. But if you get them along to walking football, that's a way to get them in as well. And it is great fun. It's not a totally different game to running football, but you do use so many different muscles, and it's really good if you've had an injury, if you want a slower version of the game. Walking football is great. So one of the questions that I did have, which came from Linda Thomas, was for Pav, and it says, thank you for participating in this discussion. Please, can you update us on the current FA strategy for women's walking football? I think there's an opportunity for the FA to get involved with women's walking football now, so we can pursue our own journey and avoid the pitfalls of the men's game. What's your opinion, please? So I'm going to pass that over to Pav.
Okay, so first of all, I hope most of you know that we had a brand new strategy for women's football, not just women's walking football, everything to do with women's football, which was launched just before Christmas, called Inspiring Positive Change. And in here, it details everything that we're seeing as a priority. And the big thing that's important in terms of rec football, which includes walking football, is a statement in here that says, by 2024, all county FAs will offer FA football for fun for adult women, which includes walking football, soccer-size, small-sided, etc. So our absolute priority within here in the rec game is to ensure that all county FAs and their partners, because we see that the partners include the community trust, the clubs, anybody that can support them, the existing men's walking football clubs, etc. Anybody, we've got to all work together to provide that recreational opportunity as well as the competitive opportunity at local level. So that's in our national women's football strategy. So the most important thing for me to say, first of all, is because it's in there, that becomes part of my role, because that's in my section, which is to deliver that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is walking football, the men's and the women's game, released their strategy in 2018, which is also on fa.com, called Stepping Out. And that was about both the men's and women's walking football game developing. And I really wanted it to be part of the men's game at the start, because we hadn't got very many walking football clubs across the country. And I've looked at the names of the guys that are on here today, both the males and the females, and there's a lot of you that started walking football in the women's side, and we weren't really doing much on that. So I really needed the men's clubs particularly to see whether they could set up women's rec walking football, as well as brand new women's teams that we really wanted to start. So when the men were sending out their walking football strategy, we wanted to be part of that to ensure that anybody that talked about it would talk about men's and women's walking football, and it wouldn't just be men's. I don't know about you, I got really frustrated that everyone said the 50+ game is walking football, and then all of the imagery was men. So it just got me really frustrated, because I thought, I wouldn't want to play in a mixed session, but I would want to play in a women's only session. So that's what we were trying to get over in that 2018 strategies. Don't just do mixed, because you won't get a lot of women joining. You will get the odd few, but it's about choice, and a lot of women want to play women only. So that's why we were part of that 2018 strategy to do it for both. Now, in terms of the fact that we've got it in our women's football strategy to do a lot more is really exciting for me. And what we're prioritising at the moment, because of funding and because we want to get this right, is we have invested in 7 women's recreational officers that are working across the, I'll tell you the areas in a second. And actually, I think 2 are definitely on the call, because I can see Sarah and I can see Katie. Give a wave, Sarah and Katie. So there's 2 of the officers here on the call today. I know Sharon was supposed to be coming on as well. Vanessa's representing Hampshire, and they have Hannah starting on Monday. So the areas are Southampton, Milton Keynes, Brighton, Sheffield and Rotherham, Manchester and Trafford. Who have I missed? Come on.
Sheffield, Rotherham, did you say?
Wigan and Lee.
Keynes,
Yeah.
Milton Keynes.
And Milton Keynes. So the seven areas. Oh, sorry, Middlesex. Yeah, Middlesex. So the 7 areas where we're having the Euros, we've invested with Sport England funding to have a rec officer. And those rec officers will do everything they can to set up, not just women's walking football, but the whole rec pathway for women in a really short amount of time. So we've only got till 2022 when we run the tournament. And then everything that we learn from making it as quick as possible with as many partners in those areas as possible, we will give to all the other county FAs to then escalate it in time to have everybody running women's rec opportunities by 2024, because that's what we haven't got that long to do it. So we have to do that way because of the resources that we have, because we want to learn from the 7 rec officers who are going to be doing it day in, day out. So they're all going to be like Carol and a lot of you who do it in your spare time. They're going to be doing it as a job, and we're hoping that way we can get lots of learnings from it. So once we've done that, and once we've seen whether those 7 cities make a big difference in women's walking and the other areas, then we can start making decisions on what we wish to do going forward for all the recreational pathways and all of the opportunities that we offer. So we'll have another review after we've done that. So that's basically where we are at this moment in time. It is hard for us because a lot of people say, why aren't you running the England team? Why is it that there's other organisations that are doing that? And Carol's made it quite simple. It is because we are absolutely adamant that we want to grow the game from the grassroots upwards. We want to have the mass of women playing first. That's our absolute priority, is to get as many women playing recreational football as possible. And then in the future, then of course there'll be discussions. Whether we'll ever get into the elite side is another matter. We haven't on futsal. We decided not to on futsal. So I can't sit here and say that will happen, but I can guarantee that we're absolutely committed to the participation section of the game. And as importantly, getting as many diverse people working in women's rec football as possible, so that you all have relatable leaders that are working in your areas and that are supported and mentored in wherever you want to go in terms of your qualifications. And that's where Mux and her team, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, at some point in this discussion, will be helping as many women as possible and men who want to get involved in the game to get on their pathway and help us to increase the numbers that are playing.
Thanks, Pav. Right, so that little session, the first bit, we've sort of come to an end. So does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? If you want to raise your hand, Emma will find out. Is anybody looking at running walking football sessions as well as women's rec sessions at the moment, or is that something for the...
Carol, there is women's walking football Bedford. It's got a question.
Right, okay. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Thanks, guys. It's not really a question. It's just following on from what Pav said. Obviously, we've run men's walking football. We started back in 2012. We've run, obviously the last year we haven't, but we started women's back in 2018. A couple of things I'd just add to what Pav said is we have never limited ages. We've never done it with the men. We don't do it with the women. We get fathers and sons come along. We get mothers and daughters come along. We've got a mother and a daughter come along. So that gives an opportunity. But the other thing I would just add to what Pav said is that please don't think that everybody who runs walking football sessions is, I mean, we've always followed the FA. And I think the recreational side of it is probably the silent majority. Some of us, a lot of clubs don't have anything to do with the other organisations. A lot don't have anything to do with the internationals and all of that sort of stuff. And I think even the men's recreational side of it is actually the silent majority rather than everything else. All of the other stuff is a little bit, I suppose, blowing their trumpets and trying to catch attention, where awful lot of other people are doing a lot of work to make sure that people play, be it men or women, and they get out there and just kick a ball about. And that's all we've ever been interested in, and that's all we ever will be interested in.
Yeah, and that's how we grow the game, is start from the bottom upwards and increase participation. So so that's a good thing to finish on number one on. And as Pav alluded to earlier, we are going to talk about coaching and the support that that you can be given from the FA as well. So just hopefully everyone on here has heard of the FA, the BT Playmaker course, which is a free online course which only takes 4 or 5 hours and is free to everyone, so you can just do it in your own time, and it's your pathway into an introduction to football coaching, which is a new course that's coming out in spring. So Sharon's going to talk us through the new course, and also how do we increase leadership among our groups. We need to get more women into coaching, but as Pav alluded to earlier, we need to get a diverse group as well into coaching and leadership. So how do we do that? But I'm going to hand over to Sharon so she can just talk you through the BT Playmaker. She's a great coach mentor as well. She's been doing some doing some work with me, and I do honestly think when you come into the game, I've said to Sharon before that coaching's not easy. It's not natural to some people. I don't find it natural. It comes to me because I think I'm getting a bit older now. I think I have to make sure everything's planned properly. I know what I'm doing. Whereas some people, you know, it's just a natural thing that they can progress something, and I just have to think about it a lot. But there is a bit more to coaching that Sharon always keeps telling me. There's a bit more to coaching than that. But she's a great mentor. So if you have any advice that you need about coaching, just ask Sharon. But Sharon's going to first talk about what's going on in the coaching world.
Thank you, Carol, and I'll send you the check later. Can you do my appraisal for me at the end of the year? I feel really privileged to actually be in this role as a Women and Girls Coach Development Officer, because my job is to target and make coaching reachable for every female in the country. Now, obviously, I can't do that by myself. There's a team of us, and we're all regionally deposited around the country. There's 8 of us working in north, south, east, and west. I'm the south, and that basically means I'm the whole of the M25, and I sort of cover that region, but not inside London. That's a colleague of mine. But my colleague and I, who cover the south, we've decided from the start that, and his name is Mark Lee, that we're always going to work together for everything we do, because we don't want because that's where people slip through sometimes. If you think, oh, this is my region, and they could just be a postcode away from both of us. So that's something, and he's also a very well-regarded coach developer. And we need to sort of try and have our sort of football clubs, male football clubs, actually supporting us in the development and growing the game. And I think he's going to be a really brilliant advocate in that as well. So the BT Playmaker is a free course. You can access it online. There'll be a pack sent out to you from following this meeting today with all the slides and the QR code on for the BT Playmaker. It takes you straight to the course where you sign up. You do need to have a FAN number to sign on to it, but it is completely free. And it just gives you the basics of coaching, which a lot of you have those transferable skills already if you're not a coach. And most of your players, once they've been to 10 of your sessions and more, the amount of confidence and engagement and self-esteem you've most probably given them through your interaction and the way you've run those activities will show that they have those transferable skills as well. Just to give you an example, I went to one of Carol's walking football sessions, and it was great to see that by week 3 or 4, after just mentioning the BT Playmaker and encouragement from Carol, a couple of the players completed the course. And then 2 weeks later, we're leading the actual warm-up, which enables, if you think long-term, growing the workforce will enable you to then have more sessions going on, enable you to maybe have some what we call parallel activities, or a more simple way with maybe different adaptations. So one game could be walking for 10 minutes, then they could progress where they're going at normal pace, and then on the third game there could be 4 goals or 4 different ways of scoring. So it's all about giving that variety, and that's what you'll get from the BT Playmaker. And obviously doing a course online and then being on the grass or on the Astro or in the sports or delivering are very different. So that's where hopefully I can come and help, and my colleagues. Depending on how big the region is, it may be that rather than we all come to you individually at your session, it may be that we call all of you to one place at the County FA, maybe on the same evening for an hour before your recreational festival or your walking football session. And when one team is off, that could be when we do a little bit of targeted support on coaching and support. I've been lucky enough that Crawley's only 40 minutes up the road, and I was new in the role and not many people knew about me. So Carol had all of my time initially. So
it's very spoiled.
I wouldn't like everybody to think that we can be with every single team every moment of the day, but what I can promise is that we are there to be contacted and we are there to support you. I've sent a list of all the names of all the women recreation officers, and what's good throughout the whole of March, starting in the week of International Women's Day, March the 8th, I think on the Tuesday, we're going to have a regional webinar every week.
I'm just going to share the screen for that. We've got
hostess with the mostess.
I know. Did I get the right bit there?
Yeah.
Right.
I employ you full time with all my.
There you go. So this is Sharon's coaching, women into coaching thing.
So all you have to do is scan that QR code, and then it'll take you to a form for you to complete, and then the links will be sent out to you. So the East is with Joanne Williams and Bex Garlick. Bex Garlick is actually the national lead for women and girls coaching. So she's the big boss. And she's based in Manchester. Then we have the North, we have Siri Smith and Chris Welburn, and that's on the 17th of March. So you can do that with a pint of Guinness, I imagine, because it's okay. And then we'll be in the West on the 24th of March, and I'm on the 29th of March, which is now the return to football.
I know.
Going out. I know. Talk about unlucky with the day.
It's just the time of our walking football session as well.
Yeah, but I did work out, Carol, you could get back by 7:30 if I just do the presentation and then jump on there.
Oh, that's good.
So I've worked it out. Yeah, so scan that QR code, and what we're going to look at, that's an opportunity that evening to listen to some stories of females who've gone into coaching from all sorts of backgrounds, adult recreation, and running, working, supporting at a club, running their children's team, running their nephew's team, or just being a volunteer and trying to, contribute to the community where they can. And it'll just give an opportunity for you to engage and meet those coach development officers who can support you in your region. Alongside their county FAs, because the county FAs want to know you. I can see Paul from Sussex is on the call tonight, and he's very supportive. He's been up to COGS as well, and we're really excited about how we can develop that game in Sussex along with the Euros, and when we have the women recreation officer in post. There's also a new course in May, which is what we used to deem as the level 1. And it's called Introduction to Football Coaching. And that new course is predominantly, you can complete it now online. It would be and you will be supported on that online community in achieving that qualification. Following that qualification, there will then, which will then give you the equivalent to what was the old level 1, is the opportunity then to link in with your county FAs, and that's where they'll give you that practical support. And who do you think is going to give you that practical support? Anyone? You. Yes, it's me again. Yes. Do you know, really bored with me? No, it's going to be me. It's also going to be the there's a lot of coach development officers. We've got women and girls coach development officers, and we've also got some targeted diversity and inclusion coach development officers. 16 of us deposited around the country regionally, and we're there to support, develop, and you know, so that you have someone you can reach out to, because we think there's been a gap there in the past that maybe you haven't felt that the course is for you. But what I'm here to say, it definitely is for you. And not that I'm recruiting, you know, we want you, but we really do want you. And I really want you to try and encourage the females who are coming to your adult recreation activities to sign up and do a BT Playmaker. And if they have children over 14, get them to sign up and do it as an activity together as well, because, you know, that's a real opportunity there to grow the game from bottom up and all support each other.
Yeah, you can also do it as a family thing, can't you? If your daughter's playing or your son's playing,
Exactly.
and you can just go online. Something you could do together. Roxanne's just asked if there's a list of coach mentors that we can send around. But it might also be a good idea as well if around the country maybe there are a female coaching group set up, even if it is just a Zoom call or something to start off with as a support for each other. Because there's probably, you know, maybe not everyone knows that when you're sort of joining in and starting all this, that there is help out there for you from coach mentors from the FA. So it's always good to know who that is. And
yeah, and I agree, Carol. I mean, it's great, you know, to do a national sort of Zoom call, but from my experience, if we can develop those real local communities of self-support as well, which is why we've gone for that regional introduction to their.
Yeah, no, I meant regional. I didn't mean national. That'd be hundreds there. Just like, you know, pockets around the country, but that's certainly.
Yeah, and then also we hope once we've established that group of females in each region, it could even be then that we have what's called some communities of practice. So it may be more coaching tips for those women who just want to talk about walking football and ideas, and males who want to talk about walking football and supporting female walking football. And it may be we have another sort of community of practice then when it's more about we want to talk about Soccercise and idea. And so it's basically us sharing what works, sharing some difficulties we've had, so together we can jump over those obstacles, just like we're in Soccercise, and support you where you need supporting. Sorry, I saw Fee had the hand up. Sorry.
So I was just going to quickly say so Claire's just put a comment in saying that she did the Playmaker last night. So it's fab, and it's also, you don't have to just do it as a coach. I think it's a great refresher for your level one if you've already done your level one as well. So it's definitely worth doing, and you will have to actually do that to get on to the introduction into coaching. Now you have to do the BT Playmaker first.
Yeah, no, that is part of the pathway.
Yeah, brilliant. Okie dokie, Pav's answered that. That's great, thank you. Right, has anybody got any questions? Do we have some hands up? I couldn't see. Can't see any for now. Oh yeah, Fee.
And Fee.
Go Fee.
So I was just going to ask, because we come under Liverpool FA, and there were coach mentors who were attached to our club, and they were fantastic. And I had one of them come and watch some of my sessions, gave really, really good feedback and things. But I happened to bump into him on Monday because he was giving me my COVID vaccine, bizarrely. And he said that the scheme had been abandoned. And so one of the things I was going to ask at this is what's happened to the coach mentor scheme. So is it a new scheme that replaces that, or?
Yeah, so at the moment with the FA mentors, we had a lot of them and we had to have a bit of a restructure.
Okay.
So when we had the restructure of the coach development team to be more targeted towards women and girls and diversity inclusion, we then also are now, at the moment, we're piloting about 16 FA mentors to see what is the skill set we need for the target areas we're trying. Do we need people who are have mentoring skills, or do we need mentors with more activation skills in actually recruiting, or do we need a range So that's what we're going through in the pilot between now and September. And then by then we'll have an idea of what the communities and what recreational needs are in football. And then we'll sort of form the job spec around that. And then it will most probably go out again to, I think we're going to try and employ there won't be as many initially because it's a restructure, there's COVID, there's recovery. I think by next year, we're hoping to have about another 72 out nationally supporting the target areas, which are women and girls. So that would involve adult recreation and also diversity and inclusion.
Sounds brilliant. And yeah, and having a mentor just come to a couple of sessions was really, really useful and fantastic.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, doesn't it, when you've got somebody there that you know has got your back sort of thing and can help you. So that's really good. Right, got another hand up here, but you're just called iPad.
Sorry, it's Kathy from Willow Valkyries. Everyone's just arrived at the same time. Hiya. Sorry, I can't change my name on here for some reason on the iPad. Anyway, could I ask Sharon, and we're covered by Cheshire FA, and we also play with Fee and a couple of others in a Liverpool league as well. I've asked a number of times about doing a women's only level 2 coaching qual, and I've not been able to get any information at all about that. So just wonder whether that was in any plans, because I've been stuck at sort of level 1 for a few years and wanting to get on and move up a bit more, really do a bit more development.
Yeah, you've got a good point there, because I'd be interested in that as well.
Yeah, I suppose it's looking at that option and that choice. I mean, at the moment, the whole coach development framework is being reviewed so that we're actually producing a course that is aligned to the needs of the game and also to the people who play in the game now, because we want everyone to feel that game belongs to them. It's not, whereas before, it depended on a lot of things, but sometimes, for example, every course I've ever been on in coach development, I've never had a female on the course with me, but I am quite old, so I get that things have changed, but I never have, and that has changed a lot. But I think sometimes, and what I've shared in my knowledge is that sometimes a regional coach with maybe 3 county FAs that are close to each other, running a female only course is actually a more attractive offer for women to, and we've got to create that choice. That doesn't mean we say all the other level 2s are just for men or so forth. Females can still have the choice to join whichever they would prefer, but so there is something we're looking at the moment with the whole restructure of the FA and the loss of the CCDs, which every county FA used to have a CCD, which they don't have now. They have a regional support officer like myself, development officer. We have a lot of in-flight learners, so the priority at the moment for many county FAs is just to make sure that those learners in the system are supported, and we've got something in place for them. I think from September, that's most probably when and the recovery of COVID, we'll know what new courses are coming up, but I will make my colleagues aware, and well, I do all the time anyway, that this is something we need to look at. If we can have one regional course as part of the directive going forward, even aligned to the Euro bid, if it's nearer. Yeah,
that'd be good. Yeah,
it could be something we look at. And I love joining dots. That's my other spare activity. Joining dots where all the football communities are covered and accommodated, and where we can access that funding. That's why I'm constantly on Carol's. Carol, how did you do that? Because I like to learn, and I want to see how I can make things as easy. I want to remove the obstacles for women and girls. I really do. And diverse females as well, who I want to get engaged more in football, because it is our game. It belongs to us. And I just want to make sure that I'm there to support and develop and give you the workforce. I want to make sure you've got the workforce so you can grow your activities. And that's
and I think there's actually quite a few women that are in recreational football that have done their level 1s, but like you, Kathy, are just a little bit you want to do your level 2, but that's quite a big step up from a level.
Yeah, it seems to be a big step up. Yeah.
And then to have other women involved as well, it's much more encouraging, I think, for women to actually
less of a big step then.
Some of the stuff I'm looking at, which I will share that practice with, is putting on some sort of bridging coach development, because I'm very aware once you've had your level 1, in some cases you're just left to get on with it and run your team. But actually what we need now, and I know you can access the boot room and YouTube for practices, but what we need is some real sort of interaction, touch development on the grass. Those level 1, those females who've completed their level 1s before are interested in continuing that journey, and we need to be there to support you in that. And that's fundamentally our role, is to support and develop those level 1s. It's not just new, identify and recruit, but also support the current level 1s to the next step you want to take, if you want to take it, but not force it on you.
So just giving you the option, isn't it? Right, thanks very much, Sharon. That was
thanks, Sharon,
because otherwise we're going to run right over. But just sort of following on from what Sharon was saying, there are a lot of resources available on the internet and on the FA website. So we've already spoken about the Soccercise that's available, but you've also got, if you sign into the FA website, you've got the boot room, which is great because you can go and find different coaching drills or different, different session plans and interviews and all sorts of things on there which can help you. So that's one thing. You've got the boot room. You've got FA Learning on YouTube, which also gives you lots of information if you're trying to write session plans and things like that. So there is quite a bit of information out there. It's just trying to find it. So other resources as well. There is also female friendly workshops that are going on at the moment that the FA are running. So if you are involved with sort of a junior club or a football club that's not specifically women's recreational football, there are female friendly workshops that are being run at the moment to make clubs more female friendly. I know Sharon's involved in running it, and I know Sarah from Merstham, she attended the one for Surrey and got quite a bit out of that. So have a look and see, there is a list of them around the country, so it's all quite it's all good information that you can build your clubs to make them more female friendly. There's also lots of, coming up to Euro 2022, there's also lots of info about that. You can go into find your ticketing information, sign up to be a volunteer and stuff like that. So the FA website is a very good resource for lots of things. So we'll just leave that on there to leave you to look at that yourself. So we'll move on to number 4, County FA's affiliation and grants. Now, most probably on here, I would imagine that the majority of people are actually affiliated to their county FAs. But if you're not, it would always be a good idea to get to know your Women and Girls Development Officer at your local county FA. They're a great point of contact for any information that you need. The CFAs are, they're there to help you, especially with affiliation and grants and things like that. So they'll also go through the affiliation process with you if you're not affiliated to them. And being affiliated to county FAs also gives you other benefits. So you get access to the national game insurance, which you need personal accident insurance and your public liability insurance. So that and going to your county FAs, that is available to you there. Whereas if you're not affiliated to anybody, then you really need to look at doing that, or you can affiliate through the club that you're attached to. Also, when you're running festivals and tournaments, if you're affiliated to your local county FA, you can just fill in a form, which is, well, you should be filling in a form anyway, which is only £16 to run a festival. But that also benefits you because you can then have registered referees. The county FA will then can supply you, if they're available, with FA registered referees. So that's another benefit from being affiliated to your county FA. So it's only £16, and it just gives you a bit of peace of mind once you've affiliated your festival. So I would recommend that if you are running just even a small tournament or festival, just to affiliate it with your local county FA. In Surrey, there is a new kite mark they've just launched. Roxanne will probably say, and Sharon will be able to tell you about this a bit more, but what's fantastic in Surrey is they've actually organised a kite mark for women's recreational football. So whereas if you have a local junior club or an adult club, football club, there is the FA Charter standard, which, having done one myself, is a bloody lot of work. But the kite mark that Surrey FA have just introduced has got a bronze, silver and gold standards. And it is something that we could possibly, that everyone in women's rec football could possibly work towards. But I'm going to ask Sharon to just quickly go through it, to just tell you what sort of things you need to do for it. But it's certainly worth a discussion, I think, in the women's rec football world, that we do have sort of a kite mark to standardise the women's rec game. But Sharon, if you just want to just very briefly tell us what it was about.
Yeah, it's called Build, Sustain and Grow. So it's bronze, silver, gold, and it's literally just a sort of a recognition of good practice for their adult flexi league, recreation league. If there's someone from Surrey, and I know Roxy's here, please, I'm not so good in it. I presented this quite a while ago now.
Roxy?
Yeah, come on, Roxy, dig me out. But the whole principle is about, how the building is, the start, the bronze, when you're starting about yourself, first, like Surrey gave some free first aid kits last year as part of the whole programme of getting them ready for that. So it's about, do you have a first aid kit? And it's not, and then it's like, how many coaches do they have? A lead coach? Have they got a level 1? But how many do they have doing BT Playmaker? So it's sort of encouraging the workforce then, and the members, to go from that sort of just player to also maybe a sort of support coach. And as it goes higher, it's all about then maybe they'll feel at one point, when they've grown the club so much, they may want to actually host a Wildcats activity alongside one of their adult recreation times or training sessions. So it's about how they link in with the county FA to do that.
That might be just a thing that we can, it might be something that Surrey FA can talk to the other county FAs at looking at rolling out nationally. I know Emma's just put a question in there about, is it going to be rolled out across the country? It's not at the moment, it's just like a specific thing for their flexi league, but it's certainly something that can be looked into, I'd imagine.
It's something that Emma Barnes and her team at Surrey FA just put together, and just wanted to recognise how could it's a reward and recognition really of what adult recreation teams are doing, some really good things there. Yeah. And it wasn't about competition or anything like that. It was just about good practice and how could they support them in that. So they thought if they could give them that kite mark, then that was, that kept the sustainability and those good and high standards that the women of Surrey were already, I'm sure, doing anyway.
Yeah. So it'd be worth looking at that. It'd be worth looking at that for the future, I think. But that is certainly somewhere we can go forward, and sort of been used as a stepping stone towards charter standards. But we certainly look into that a bit further. The other way that you can affiliate is to a local football club, and I know we've got Joe from Canterbury Old Bags on here somewhere, who's just going to chat somewhere. I can't find her. But yeah, Joe, here she is. But Joe, so what Joe built the Canterbury Old Bags up from 2017, has got a wonderful group there. And affiliation-wise, they're affiliated with a team. And I'll get Joe to tell you the story, but it's a story that if you do a bit of research, it's always good to do a bit of research into who you're going to be affiliating with and make sure it's the right people or the right club to what you want to do. So Joe, It's just going to tell us a little warning. Just
bullet points. I'm really sorry I was late, everybody. By the way, I'm working on the vaccination program at the moment, and my days just disappear. And I don't have any day, I don't have any night, I don't have anything. So I do apologise. I am doing good work currently. Get your vaccine, please. Yeah, so as Carol said, I started Canterbury Old Bags, and it was kind of a very you know, we weren't affiliated to anybody. It was just something that I did. It was just loosely kind of loose outfit really of randomers like myself. But the sessions began to sort of increase in popularity and got, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier on, having sessions for younger women as well. And I wanted to keep the Old Bags as a kind of older women's session. So I started doing younger groups separately as a recreational session. And I happened to be approached by a local club, football club, one of the directors who happened to, you know, be on the same astro after us with another group of walking football, funnily enough. And he said, "Are you affiliated to anybody? Would you like to be affiliated to Canterbury City?" And of course, you know, at that time I wasn't really bothered really. I didn't feel like we needed to be affiliated to anybody. We just kind of ran along as we were going. But of course, when I looked into it a bit, it did seem that affiliation was the right way to go. As Carol said, it brings benefits, plenty of benefits to your session. It should do anyway. So I said, yeah, okay, we'll affiliate to Canterbury City, and we'll be your. They messed up our affiliation because first of all they put us down as their women's first team, which very scarily meant that I got an email through saying your next fixture will be against Tenham Pumas or something on Saturday, and I was like, no, God, no, you know, no, we're not playing anybody in any league. Thank you very much. We're literally so. But that was a mistake. That was fine. And I'm afraid what I found, after sort of a few months of knocking around with this lot, was that we were very much being used as a vehicle for them to get traction and funding and all the rest of it for their club without anything in return for us. We weren't supported in any way, shape or form. We weren't given any kit. We weren't given anything. We were given absolutely nothing. It didn't matter to me necessarily because I didn't need anything. Oh, we were given use of the club minibus, which hilariously we drove to Crawley one day, or I drove to Crawley one day. I'm amazed it got there. I mean, there were bits falling off it. It rained inside the bus. Everybody was soaked by the time we got there. It was full of fag packets and beer cans and stuff like that. I had to clean it before we went anywhere, which, you know, was really annoying. Anyway, later on, I kind of found that this club was sort of saying, "Oh, we run women's vets football. You know, we're really great. We've got this women's team, and it's Canterbury Old Bags. Yeah, we run it." And they were kind of using us as a lever to kind of get funding and stuff like that, and without us getting anything in return, apart from the use of a ropey minibus. Anyway, so after about a year probably of this, and I kind of realised that we were being used and not getting anything out of it, and other things I won't go into, but it wasn't a good experience. It really wasn't a good experience. And I think one point I just thought, actually, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to let what I've built up and my community that I've built up be part of that more negative environment. I think because I could see on the horizon, it would have come at me at 1,000 miles an hour, and it would have been that we were implicated in all sorts of things that were going on. So I very quickly one day just wrote to the FA and said we're withdrawing our affiliation, we want to stop. At which point I then found that the club, had they wanted to, could have kept the name Canterbury Old Bags United. And there were a few emails exchanged because they said, okay, well, you can remove your affiliation, you can take your players away, but actually now you've affiliated to that club, they own your name, which was obviously hugely upsetting, because if you've built something up from scratch and, you know, got that branding going and people enjoy it and they like it, and the women that are involved think it's good, you know, to think that somebody, if they wanted to, could have just taken that away from me and become Canterbury Old Bags United and set up something external to me. Luckily, the club secretary at the time kind of hummed and hawed and went back and then backwards and forwards and then said, actually, there's nothing really in it for us. No, fine, we won't have the name. But they did have the option to keep hold of their name. So that was a close call. Anyway, we have affiliated to a very nice new club now called Canterbury Eagles, who are really a youth set up in Canterbury, but they're looking to do more. They've now got a senior men's side, a senior vet side, a seniors walking football side. And so we've now affiliated to them, and it's a much more pleasant environment to be involved in. And I no longer feel like we're just being held up like a little we've done is really great, now go back in your box. I feel like we're much more part of the whole direction of the club and the way it's going, and lots of nice people involved. So I think it's just a word of warning, really. Just do your homework, as I didn't, I'm afraid. Do your homework a little bit on the club that you're affiliating to. There's been I won't name any names, but I've heard of another couple of women's vets recreational teams that have set up and have been asked to affiliate to clubs, and there's been a bit of a tussle, and they've done their homework and gone with made the right decision, gone with the right club. So just to say, it's one of those things where there's something in it for them, most definitely. So make sure there's something in it for you as well.
Just make sure you pick the right club and
pick the right club.
Do your research. So thanks, Jo, for that. Going back to CFAs as well, we're just looking at grants that are available. Obviously, if you're affiliated to your county FA, then they'll have information on grants. Usually the Football Foundation's Grow the Game grant is available on parts of the year. They give you sort of a time, it's usually about February, March time, that you can go and apply for that if you're a new team, or even if you're setting up a new team. So I know Sean at Sussex said, although we were the cogs and we have sort of plenty of women, the fact that we were setting up a walking football side enabled us to apply, although we didn't in the end because we were too late, but that would enable us to apply for a grant as well. So if you're setting up walking football, you're setting up running recreational football, then you can do that as well. So so that's another advantage of being with your county FA. And also, you know, that there are sort of active partners as well that you can get funding from, like your local, like we've got Active Sussex or Active wherever you are. Talk to them and see what funding they've got available, or you've got a National Lottery Community Fund, or if you're doing walking football, you can always speak to the council or Age UK. There are that funding pots that you can go to increase your, you know, increase the money that you need to get your kit and facilities and all sorts of things like that. So just have a good look around and see what funding is available. So moving on to facilities, I've realised the time is actually getting quite late. So once you've got your funding, it's sometimes quite difficult to find somewhere to play. What happens is you find that the junior football clubs or the men's clubs that have been training for years and years and years, they have a constant rebooking system. I mean, I know from being secretary at a junior football club, it's a case of you could actually just rebook what you've been doing the year before. So, and you do that in a year in advance. So you also have to be aware, facility wise, that it's not going to be easy to find facilities, especially 3Gs. So just bear that in mind over the next sort of year or so. If you're planning new sessions, or if you're planning things to do, then it's always good to sort of look at facilities, see what's available. And again, your county FA will be able to advise you what 3Gs and there are around. You know, especially in terms of coming up to Euro 2022 as well. The buzz around that is just going to be incredible. I mean, we saw what it was like with France, and that was in, you know, that wasn't even in our country, and just I've just lost words at just how exciting it's all going to be. So I think we've you know, we've really got to sort of think a year or so down the line and see what we can do to put facilities up and stuff like that. So we'll move on to sharing good practice as well. It's always good to share good practice. There isn't really anywhere. I mean, we can use the group that we've got to share good practice if you've done something good in a session. I always think it's really good to, you know, just chat even about sessions that you do. If you've got the women that really like a session, or sort of just put it in the group, and then somebody else can use it, and then we can discuss different things. Then if you've got sort of a problem, or you know, where do you think we can share all this stuff? So I think if we can use the women's rec football group for now, that would be a good idea, but it would also be good to sort of have something national that we can do. There's also Emma does it. Emma is, are you still awake, Emma?
Yeah, I am.
Good practice wise, Emma who started up she first of all, Emma was with AFC Wimbledon. In fact, she should have introduced you at the beginning. Sorry, Emma, I completely forgot. So Emma, who's very kindly helping me co-host this behind the scenes. So Emma started with AFC Wimbledon, and she still runs Richmond under 16s. She's got Weekly Oats, which her and Rebecca have set up recently, which has just gone absolutely crazy, the amount of women that they've got. And she runs a newsletter as well, and all sorts of webinars for the women. So that's the sort of thing that we can look at for doing, you know, each group. Do you want to do a newsletter? It's just little things that we can share good practice. I mean, I know Emma shares it on the group, but if you do something good like that, then just share it. And, you know, it doesn't really matter if someone copies it or whatever. It's getting it out to the right people, and it's, you know, and it's doing a good thing. So if everyone's happy that you can copy their work, then that's fine. We'll just go ahead and do it. So talking about good practice and how we share things, we did have a question from Carol Phillips, and she has asked, how would you deal with bad behaviour? And I'm going to ask that question to Pav. So sharing good practice, how do we deal with how should a club handle bad behaviour?
I'm hoping that most of you guys know that if you go on fa.com, you can go into the respect area and you can get all the codes of conduct, because if you have to go down this line, then I would suggest that you get all your participants to sign your code of conduct, which you can adapt from ours. And then next to it, there's all the punishments that people will get if they break them, because you've asked them very nicely to sign to say that they will be lovely and they won't be bad. And then there's all the repercussions if sadly they are like that. So you have got the respect. I'll put the link on. I seem to be doing a good job of putting a lot of links on here tonight. I'll put the link on after I've spoken, and I'm sure other people have got ideas as well, but I like the respect guidelines, because it doesn't feel like when you're sending them to people that you're doing it in a bad way. You're saying, oh, everybody loves everybody and we all want to sign this because we all want to get on well, but at least it's got something there if there is any issues. And I'm sure other people have got ideas as well.
Well, we've got on our website, we have a code of conduct on our website and various different policies which we put on our website. And when we have our registration forms, we have a box that people tick to say they've read the code of conduct and they've read this and they've read that. So that's sort of another comeback really. But I would suggest if anybody is sort of causing trouble, to just have a chat with them. If you've got a committee, to take it to the committee and have a chat first, and obviously there are disciplinary policies and things. That we've got disciplinary policies, and I'm sure other people have as well, but obviously you want to talk to them first and sort it out that way. But yeah, respect is the respect guides are there. More good. I love sharing good practice because I just think it's brilliant. And Jenny's had to go. I hope Saskia's still here. So Lewis Women Vets, they've been doing a lot of good stuff in the local community by volunteering for the food banks, and they even managed to give the locals a Christmas Carol recital. But I'm not sure how that went, but it's like, I mean, what a great thing to be doing in your town, just from all playing football together. And pre-coronavirus, we were doing a Cogs and Care Homes project, and yes, Saskia, give us a recital. Obviously, we did a Cogs and Care Homes project where we took some of our players, the local council did a Dementia Friends course, so we did that with the local council, and then we've sort of taken foam footballs and washing baskets into, obviously when we could do, into residential care homes of people with dementia, and it's honestly one of the most rewarding things that I've done. We go on the Sunday morning, we take our foam footballs, and we just play catch, and we play cones on your head and all sorts of stuff, and the residents love it. And it's just, these are the little things that you can spin off just from women playing football, because women are great volunteers. They just love doing things like that, don't they? So it's just another thing, another good practice to share. So if you have been doing anything like that and you've got good practice to share, then just let everyone know, and then you never know, they might do it themselves. So how are we for time? Right, 5-2. Right, we're going to move on to Euro 2022. So how exciting. I get so excited when I talk about this. So it's just going to generate so much interest in women, not only women's rec football, but just all kinds of women and girls football, and boys football as well, because I remember with the World Cup in 2019, I couldn't believe the amount of men who are very staunch men's football fans were starting to comment and watch the women's football. So you also need male allies in women's rec football as well. So I mean, and the build up to Euro 2022 is just going to be unbelievable. There's been legacy groups that are set up for each host city, which have got legacy plans to actually increase participation and spectators and everything around women and girls football. And Sport England have already invested £1 million, which has been split between those groups. Pav mentioned the host cities earlier, which are Brighton, London, Trafford, Manchester, Sheffield, Rotherham, Milton Keynes and Wigan and Lee and Southampton. And each of those groups will have a women's rec officer, and we've got, like Pav said earlier, we've got a couple on here, Sarah and Katie, and they will be there to help you grow and also help grow the game for women that haven't started yet, which is brilliant. So, and there is another one just been advertised in Brighton, for Brighton area. So if you know anyone that's interested, it's part-time, it's 21 hours a week, but it will be to increase participation around the Brighton and Hove and Sussex area. And they're ongoing at the moment, as Pav will tell you. There's lots of interviews going on, and we've got some, and I've spoken to them so far, and we've got some brilliant, really brilliant people, some great conversations. So that's quite exciting as well. So that's part of the legacy plan. And no doubt nearer the time, I'm sure there'll actually be some funding, more funding available to produce, you know, women's rec festivals, tournaments and things like that. So it's just exciting times ahead. And we're also going, so we'll be running a women's rec festival, which will be in July 2022. So that will be a national festival. Hopefully it will be 48 teams, and it will be around the Euro. So that's something to put in your diary. There's also, you know, plenty of scope for more ideas to run in conjunction with our women's rec football community. And I was possibly sort of thinking that we could have, went through the days before the tournament, and the only sort of weekend date was Saturday the 18th of December, which was 200 days before the tournament. That's maybe something we could think about, or doing a festival on that day or something, or all just doing something to really promote women's rec football. Maybe.
Carol, can I just come in and just say to people that I know a lot of groups on here put their names forward to be part of the FA5s, which is the kind of new People's Cup that also a lot of you used to be part of. The FA5s this year, because of COVID, it's not going to happen. Just be really honest with you, we're not going to be able to do it. We're hoping to do some summer festivals as a return to football, but we're going to really get our heads around what that's going to look like, how we can actually achieve that. But the good news on Football Fives is that it is going to happen, and it's going to happen around the Euros of 2022 and our Euros. So it's going to have a massive focus on women, as well as men, as well as people with disabilities. But because it's around the Euro 2022 tournament, and hopefully the finals will be around that, then there'll be so much work going into it. So what we really need to get our heads around is, as soon as possible, we need to get the dates of all the regional rounds and the nationals, so that you guys then can then plot your own fun tournaments in between those as well, so that really all the time leading up to the Euros, everyone's running festivals everywhere and people can get to them without there being duplication. So I'm really excited about the fact that the fives are definitely going to happen next year, because we weren't 100% sure because the money was for this year, but it's definitely going to happen next year, and it will be bigger and better because of our involvement, which is brilliant.
That's brilliant. And that sort of ties in with something that Emma and I were discussing the other day, in that to have a sort of central point of when people are running festivals and tournaments, so that we all know that on that date so and so is running a festival there, and on that, and what Emma's going to do. So if anybody is running anything, if you put it in the Women's Rec Football group on Facebook, whether it's a poster or whatever it is, Emma is going to organise a Google Doc with all the festivals around the country, and when they're running, etc., and all the details, so we can sort of work together, and as Pav said, just do some different weeks, so that there's always something going on and we're not doing everything at the same time. So if you have any plans to run any festivals, be it walking, recreational, futsal or whatever, then put it in the group, and then Emma can get like a Google Doc with and just amalgamate everything together. So that'll be good. Also, we've got another organisation to get involved with who've got good contacts within the women's game, is the FSA. So I don't know if you've heard of the FSA, which is the Football Supporters Association, which Deborah Dilworth, I don't know if you've heard of Deborah, she's absolutely fantastic, and she runs Free Lionesses, which is the group that actually goes around to the tournaments and helps people, not just helps people, she does a lot of work, but she is involved with women's supporter groups around the country and setting them up. So if you are looking for people to get involved with, then if you sort of speak to her and around your area and the women's supporters groups, that's another group of women that are interested in football in the first place. So speak to her and see, you know, if you can speak to the supporters groups to get more women involved in your own groups. So let's move on to, I'm just quite aware of time here, we're getting to 9 o'clock, right? So we'll just, I'll very quickly go through this, probably miss some of this bit out. I just wanted to say as well, another more sort of good ideas and good practice. Unfortunately, Ellie had to go, but Ellie runs N16 and Clapton CFC, and we first met Ellie in the People's Cup in 2016, and there were 6 teams to start with, and we had 2, and Ellie played in one of the others, and ever since then, and I'll never forget, she said to me, and I never even knew this until a little while ago, she said to me, after that People's Cup, she looked at the cogs and she was like, she hadn't played football since that day. She looked at the cogs and she went, no, I've just got to carry on playing. And she's honestly so inspiring. She's set up so much in the community, and she works with a club called Renaissance FC now, and she works with migrants and refugees that come in, and she sets up football sessions for them. So again, that's another bit of good practice that we can talk to her about and find out how she does that and how we can replicate that in other places. And there's also, you know, other groups that we can use. We're looking at doing a project with a Tackling Inequalities Fund, which is going to reach those harder to reach groups of the minority groups, the Black and Asian women and girls, to try and get more of them involved in football, and then obviously increase the leadership so it's more diverse. So there's plenty of things going on, and then you've got Blags, who are in Brighton. They're an LGBT group who do a lot of work with Stonewall and people like that, and there's Pride in Sport. So there's all sorts of different organisations that we can increase the diversity in sport. So unfortunately Ellie had to go, she can't tell us about her Renaissance FC, but there is she's doing some great work with that. So it's just sort of looking at festivals and things like that. I'm aware of time, so we'll just nick past some bits and pieces. But festivals and tournaments, as we said before, we'll try and do them separately. Also try and do something on the 200 days perhaps. But maybe there's sort of festivals that we could involve nans, mums, aunts, daughters, sisters, and maybe do something as a family, have like a family community day or something, and get the girls and the mums and the boys and the mums and the dads involved all together. So that might be something that we can do. And then how do we encourage more coaches to be able to deliver sessions while the other family members are training or playing? So maybe we can look at junior clubs while the boys are playing. Maybe we can do something with the mums, set up a session alongside that if you know any junior football clubs, and then that can sort of go off into coaching as well. So there are so many things that we can look at. And then we've got, I'll just quickly go through this finally. We've got International Women's Day coming up on the 8th of March 2021. And I think this year the theme is Choose to Challenge. And it's all about challenging their website. I'll read you from their website actually. It says, a challenged world is an alert world. Individually, we're all responsible for our own thoughts and actions all day, every day. We can choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. We can choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievements. Collectively, we can all help create an inclusive world. From challenge comes change. So I would say, I love International Women's Day because it really celebrates women and what they've done and all the rest of it. So I would say to you, if you have got women in your groups that are just inspiring, we've got so many, is just tell their story, put something together, just get a few photographs, get it on social media and just tell their story, and that in turn will inspire other women to come and play football as well. So if you can do something like that, if you haven't got the portals to do it, just send it over to the Cobs. We can do something, put it on the website. But I think it's good. We must celebrate our women, and we have one woman today that comes to us. We didn't even know she was 65, and last year, at the end of last year in COVID, she actually turned up on her 65th birthday because she wanted to play football, and she's just amazing, isn't she, Sandra? She's just a wonderful woman who just inspires everybody. So I think we need to get those stories out there as well and just celebrate these inspiring women. So I think on that note, probably ought to finish. I don't know if there's any question. I know there's a lot in the chat. I haven't really had a chance to read it. But what we will do from this session is we will get all the links and everything, and I'll email out everybody that Pav's put in there. I've recorded it so I can go through all the links and everything. If you've got any feedback from tonight, please send it, whether it's good or not so good, or just something that we can do in the future, whether you want to do this again. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I didn't really know how it's going to go. It's just going to be a chat. But if you want to do it again, please send feedback. And has anybody got any final questions? That's it.
Carol, thanks for organising. I think you don't take praise for a lot of stuff.
No, don't start that all rubbish. Anyway, so I think the main things that we've got coming out of tonight is that we can look at doing some female coaching groups, which would be great to get new women involved and get the workforce up. We'll get a central diary of events from Emma, and I think just networking around the country with each other, just so we can get more. Just get it out there, and as Billie Jean King said in her little it wasn't a tweet, was it? It was just a little thing she said. Let's make some noise. Let's let people hear us. Make some noise.
Let's annoy the FA loads that they have to do something. Yeah.
We're going to end up with a cat's bottom shot in a minute, I think, from Pav. Anyway, I don't want to keep any more of your time up. I haven't been able to read all the chat, but I just especially want to thank Pav and Sharon, because they're honestly working so hard behind the scenes, you wouldn't believe it, and to give up their time tonight to just come and join us has been absolutely brilliant. So I just want to thank you all, and thank you all for coming and listening to me waffle on for God knows how long, and thanks Emma for helping. So if you have any feedback, just send it over and we'll see what we can do. But hopefully you've got something out of that and it's not something that you've already know everything and I've just bored you to tears for 2 hours. But so we will see you again soon, and thanks everyone for coming.
Well done, Carol.
Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Carol. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.